Good morning, Knicks universe. KOD Nation, stand up, and all you DJs, wake up and get your coffee. Welcome to this Monday, beginning of the week episode of the Knicks Morning Brew. I'm chilling with my guys, my bros, Jiggaman and Phil Porto. Fellas,
what up?
How you doing? Bro. What a weekend, man. What a weekend.
Oh, yeah.
Roller coaster emotions, between both of those games. But Hector, man, how you feeling, bro? I mean, we getting past the whole vida?
Well, yeah, I am COVID-free right now. As you can see, I'm happy to be COVID-free. I mean, vid-free. I am vid-free. Google, do not take this down for me mentioning that. But, yeah, I'm here. I am in the building. Shout out to Uncle Foxy. Salute. And Blood of the Panthers in the chat. Blood, what it do, baby?
What up,
but yeah,
Foxy?
I am, virus-free. I am healthy. I am good. I am ready to rock and roll, bros. How you guys feeling?
Bro, I'm exhausted, man. Got back from North Carolina yesterday, and my flight was a little bit delayed, so I landed at around 5 something, and my airport that I flew into is about 40 minutes from where I live, so there was no way that I could be away from the kids for like 4 days, and then go straight to watching TV. Like, that would have been like sleep on the couch type moments right there. And I wanted to be, present with the fam. So, I told the wife, like, let's do dinner, everything like that. I'm going to stay off social. And then as soon as League Pass lets me watch the game, I'll watch the game. So it was a late night. And yeah, so I'm a little draggy and got a lot to say today. So let's have some fun.
Well, I appreciate you, Phil, not falling into the stereotype of a Puerto Rican father and actually taking care of your kids and, actually being involved in your children's life. So I appreciate you for not living up to the stereotype. But Jigga, man, how was your weekend?
Good job, Phil. Good job, bro. Make us all look good. No, weekend was good, man. I know we'll jump into the games. We got a lot to talk about. We got Jerry coming on the show today. Shout out to my son, Elijah. Today turns 20 years old. My God.
Yes.
Happy birthday.
My kids are grown. Getting old. That's it.
That's crazy.
We're talking about it, and I don't even want to be on the show anymore today. Okay.
Happy birthday, Elijah. Just know you turned 20 years old, which means you have to go out there and find your own health care plan because your father's going to kick you off the list.
Stop payroll bills.
No, not to be funny, but that's the phone conversation I had with my pops when I turned 21. I legitimately, when I turned 21 years old, this man called me and said, well, you're 21. Time to find you your own healthcare policy because Edna's going to kick you off. I was like, this guy.
All right. I'm going to text him right now. We have a serious conversation.
I see G Money is in the chat. G Money, what it do, baby?
What
Salute,
up,
my
G
guy.
Money?
The walking encyclopedia.
Yo, G hit me with a text the other day, making me have the thinking genes put on. He was like,
same.
Let me throw this at you real quick. I was like, okay,
Yep.
G Money. Coming at me with the questions, had me thinking. When you start texting and then you stop for 2 reasons. One, you're like, is that word spelled right? And then you go back and you redo the word completely because even predictive text is like, I don't know what you try to type. So you change it. That happened like 10 times. And then the other part was every time I started answering him, I was like, but maybe what? But so, G Money, appreciate you getting me to think, bro. Like my brain was hurting after that conversation. All right.
Well, my phone recognized how stupid I am, right? So the even when it comes to the autocorrect doesn't even correct himself.
For real.
Yeah.
That's what you call love.
Heck, that's what you call love. Yeah, that's what you call love. That's what abuse as well. We could put that into the category of abuse as well. But yeah, guys, enough joking around. Let's start off the show right. Let's talk about the game that the Knicks played against. Drum roll, please. The Dallas Mavericks, a.k.a. the Westchester Knicks. That game was a disaster. You know, the Knicks had an early lead in the second quarter. We had like a double-digit lead. I think it was 15 points at one time. But as soon as that third period started, we love to call it the third quarter of death. And the Grim Reaper was literally the referee for that third quarter because this team looked dead when it came to Julius Randle wanting to spin in the air and throw the ball around, to Tom Thibodeau on the sideline screaming at people to cut, and no one's cutting. It's a recipe for disaster. And you had guys, yes, you know, Luka Doncic, he's going to get his 30 points. But when you got Tim Hardaway Jr. going off, when you got Reggie Bullock going off, when you got Frank Ntilikina coming into the game and scoring a couple of baskets himself, it's a recipe for disaster. And I'll start it off with Jiggaman because he looks the most frustrated out of the three of us. So, what's your thoughts from the Mavericks game, brother?
Whoa, bro. Frustrated? I'm not frustrated at all. We've got the best team in the NBA. We've got the best coach in the NBA, the best front office that you could ever. Okay, I can't even say it without like. Check this oh shoot, something's wrong. Listen, Timmy Hardaway cooked us, bro. Okay, the typical someone's coming to the Garden tonight, and someone's gonna make a name for themselves. Yo, 28. Did that man say this was his house?
Yes, I saw that too.
No. Time out. He didn't say this is my house. He said this is my city. He claimed New York as his city. Even more disrespect.
City, that's right. I just want to make sure. So, guys, that third quarter, bro, it was what? We gave up 41 points. We only put up 15. I mean, we could sit there and talk about the entire game. It was a murdering. Yo, what up, DSJ? It's just every single facet of it, man. It's the same garbage we see day in, day out, you know? And then people are going to be like, did you really think you saw anything different in a win yesterday? And I know we'll get to that, but it's the same bullcrap we saw the night before. Nothing changes, man. But that game, I mean, my Saturday was just ruined. 12:30 in the afternoon game. You're like, okay, all right, let's do this. Worst 2 hours of I could have done on a Saturday. Horrible.
Yes.
Horrible.
Yeah. I can't disagree with that. Phil Porto, what's your take, Phil?
Yeah, man. So honestly, like, I had a wedding during the day that I was photographing, and I got out at 8:00. Once again, I muted all my social medias. Got in the car, threw the game on as I'm driving. It was not far. It was like 10 miles or so. And so I'm watching. It was like 30 minutes max. So I'm watching the game, and honestly, I wish that I would have just gone to sleep after that wedding. It was a waste of time to watch that game. Like, it was so frustrating to see. Like, here's the thing: is like when you watch a movie, the one thing that like it is great is when you don't know who the villain is. And then you find out who the villain is, and you're like, oh, snap, that makes total sense, and it makes the movie great. But when you allow Tim Hardaway, who you traded away, to come in and disrespect in the way that, like, Reggie Miller would disrespect you back in the day. Like, this is Tim Hardaway Jr. Someone said it in a chat yesterday, and I was dying. They were like, when we allow Tim Hardaway Jr. to look like regular Tim Hardaway from the Miami Heat with Lonzo Mourning, then you know we screwed up. Like, we let him look like his dad, who was a star, and he's not a star. We just looked pathetic. Like, the fact that we could be up, the fact that we could be competing, and then we come in, and it's seriously, we weren't getting buckets, we weren't getting stops. It was like we did not show up in the second half. And for me, the most frustrating part is, like, listening to the the after interviews with Jalen Brunson, you know, because I love JB, but when he is saying, oh, it's all on us, coach is doing a great job.
So
That frustrated me.
So I wrote this on my own. Okay. Hi, I'm Jalen Brunson, and so Coach Tibbs is really great. Acknowledge Coach Tibbs. Shake head. Coach Tibbs is a really good player. Coach. Sorry, coach. We the Knicks must come together and not head. Okay. Like that was the worst freaking press conference afterwards. Like, do you realize how he's not even hiding it? Right? Like he's making it very clear. I'm reading off a paper. I'm gonna read exactly what was written for me. I was brought here to be a publicist for our coach. My family brought me over here, and I'm on Team Family. And I'm going to sit here in this racketeering mafia-style Knicks organization that all pay each other and take care of each other, including me. I'm going to read this paper here and say, yes, Tom Thibodeau is the greatest coach to ever exist.
Jalen Brunson, get ready to enjoy 4 horrible years in New York City with $100 million in the bank, because that's what it looks like right now. And, you know, that post-game interview that he had, the post-game comp, it, as a Knicks fan, one of the most embarrassing things that I've ever seen. The way that he was reading stuff off of a paper, like the PR team literally just gave it to him, literally just printed it out and gave it to him. It's embarrassing. I was watching that and I had to pause it, rewind it, like 3 or 4 times. And I'm like, oh no, he actually read that off of a piece of paper. Someone actually printed that out, right? Put it on a thing that holds it straight.
Why do you keep saying someone? Why you keep saying someone? My guy, I'm telling you, Tom Thibodeau came over and was like, yo, and handed him a couple $100 bills, was like, yo, you got me? I got you. Go ahead. Slipped him to it.
Bro.
He was like, all right, cool.
He got that from Papa Brunson. Let's be real.
Yeah.
He got that from Daddy.
Tibbs was like, listen, if your son don't say this, you fired.
Yeah, straight up.
You know, Jiggaman, and I'll throw it to Phil right after this, but you said it, bro. This is a mafia-style racketeering that's going on when it comes to the Garden, right? The last show we was on, you know, I gave credit to James Dolan for his hands-off approach, but he may have a hands-off approach, but it's still a constant carousel of mediocrity, right? When you look at the hires that James Dolan has done over these past 20 years, it has been yes men. It has been people that he's had in his corner.
Exactly.
It has been people that he is used to. The last time he had somebody that was outside of organization was Donnie Walsh, and that was because the NBA came in and said, you know what, you are running this team like trash. We are going to put somebody in charge to fix this garbage. And that was Donnie Walsh. You guys remember that when the NBA had to intervene because the Knicks will run so poorly? And it's the same thing all over again. You can't hire people who aren't objective towards you, who aren't going to tell you what it is. If you just hire people who just are going to tell you what they want to hear, then this is the result that you're going to get. James Dolan, he's focused on his little music group, JD and the Straight Shots, whatever that name is. You need to be an owner of a basketball team and stop trying to be Puff Daddy and country music. It's not going to happen.
For real. How about Plano de Panta? Brunson saw the 401k and took the job, and now he understands why the benefits look how it look. Yeah, I mean, it's. I was gonna save this take for a little bit later, but I can do it now. Actually, no, I'm gonna wait for Jerry to get here because I want to ask. Right. Yeah, I want to ask him his take on it too. But you know, like you said, Hector, it goes back to that statement. Oh, you know, they're hands off. It's maybe that's a problem. Maybe the hands off needs to change too, right? Because again, I mean, people are going to look at yesterday's victory and all of a sudden think, oh yeah, no, we still played pretty trash yesterday. We played just as trash as we did on Saturday.
Yeah.
How many total points did we end up scoring yesterday? Remind me.
I think it was 96, if I'm not mistaken.
92,
yeah.
So, and again, that's my point, right? He'll be like, "Oh, well, you beat the Cavs. We play like crap. We don't have a problem scoring. That's not an issue. I mean, we scored 100 points when we played the Mavs. We have no problem scoring. But the product we're putting out there is trash. Now, don't get me wrong. I love seeing IQ. I do. You know, I'm an IQ fan. I love his game. I love seeing him play. Glad to see that he got minutes yesterday and Saturday. But that opens up a lot of other questions. And I know I don't want to jump too far down the line, guys, but we saw no Cam. We saw no Rose.
No Jericho for another game.
Right? So it's like we keep getting these little glimpses of something might happen, but we have no idea what's going on. Then it's just, at the end of the day, it just looks like it's unorganized. Like this front office is just like a freaking mess, and it's showing more and more. And I feel like we're at that point where things are just, it's about to blow up. You know what I mean? Like there's no hiding behind your Madison Square Garden wall anymore.
Yeah. And to answer your question, Heck, I'll just do it real quick so we can move on to the next, game and whatnot. But here's my thing, is he hired based off connections. That was the whole thing, is when you hire based off connections and not basketball IQ, basketball like vision, basketball future, it doesn't make any sense. So it's like, all these people had things that they could bring to the Knicks, So that's like me going, yo, all right, I just got hired. I know Justin Bieber knows basketball players. I'm going to bring in Justin Bieber. Like, no, what does that do? Just because he knows people doesn't mean he has any pull, any weight, anything to really contribute to where the team is going. So we brought in a lot of people that had all these connections, all these things that they could do, all these stars that they can bring to us. None of those things that ever happened. Nothing at all. So all these things that were promised never came to fruition, and all the things that they lack when it comes to actually being, able to lead a basketball team are all starting to surface rather quickly because their good things that they were going to bring never showed up, and all the bad that they brought to the table is there. So hands off is great when you have the right people in position to actually get stuff done. Like when I had my photography team, as the team got more and more understanding of how I ran business, I took steps back and let them do their thing. But when I was first training them and first getting them into the, organization of our business, I had to have very much hands-on, for the sake of them and the sake of the people that entrusted us, such as the fans entrust the organization. So I think hands off is great when you have the right people in place, and we don't have the right people in place.
Yeah. I'm not sure if you guys saw the post-game press conference from yesterday's game, but the coach of the Cavs, he said, listen, no disrespect to the Knicks, but we just missed shots. We were wide open, and we just missed our shots. They were 8 for 32, I believe, from beyond the arc. Hold on, let me see. Yeah, they were 8 for 30. They were 5 for 32 from beyond the arc when it comes to the Cleveland Cavaliers. 5.
So look, Hector, and I want you to touch on this one, okay? In the chat, I saw Smoking Nick, and I want to first. What up, Smoking Nick? What up, my guy?
SK, what is good, my guy?
I want to talk about the fact, SK, you said y'all harp on the bad, harp on the good. No, we do harp on the good. The problem is, if we harp on this so-called what we're categorizing as good, it makes it seem as something's being done right by this front office, and it's not. Let's be real. If you compare both games, how great was it? Yes, we beat the Cavs. How great was it Donovan Mitchell didn't come into the Garden and have his homecoming and embarrass us? That's great. But for me, I saw more highlights in the loss to the Mavs with some of our guys than I did in last night's game.
Yeah.
Right? So I'm not saying we take away or not celebrate the fact that we got to win, but it's back to that whole, yeah, we win, but then it gives credit to people that don't deserve credit. Did we win last night because of tips? Did we win last night because of some amazing new rotations that we were trying?
No.
Did we leave that game yesterday with more questions, SK? Like what happened to Cam? So again, my thing is we're not taking away from the fact that we got to win, SK. Like, I agree with you 100%. We ain't winning no chip. We know that. We know that. The real fan knows we are not winning a chip. But at the same time, we need to address the fact that if there's an issue, there's an issue. We know we have issues. If you want to celebrate wins, SK, I would celebrate some of the highlights from the loss that we had, not yesterday's game, because there wasn't much yesterday that got me excited.
The only thing that got me excited from yesterday's game was the fact that Deuce McBride played 16 minutes. And when you look at the box score, right? I'm happy that Deuce McBride, he got his 16 minutes, right? But one thing that I saw from the box score, Obi Toppin only played 13 minutes.
Yep.
What does this man have to do to crack 16 minutes on a daily basis, on an average basis, right? When you look at this team, Jericho Sims, DMP. Derrick Rose, DMP. Cameron Reddish, DMP. I understand the game against the Mavs, Cam Reddish, he looked lost. He looked horrible. But still, for Cam Reddish not to touch the floor and get just 5 minutes, to get 5 minutes. So now I guess the trade rumors must be true between Derrick Rose and Cam Reddish. I think the Knicks are shopping them to get them out of here.
Yeah, I mean, all right, we're going to jump into it, right?
Hold up.
Go ahead.
Hold up. But before we go with the negative, I do want to speak on what Still Nick was saying, okay? There are few things that we can look at, from this game, okay? I do believe that a lot of our success came from them playing bad, and we'll talk about that. Mm-hmm. But one highlight was Grimes did show a lot of effort on defense. You did see people on the team who typically don't play defense well that were making defensive efforts, like steals that were caused by Mitch. Mm-hmm. Miles McBride did play. That's also a great, thing that we saw. And the fourth is I still want him out of here. But for the first time, we actually got direct answers from Tom Thibodeau in the post-game conference. He did touch on the reasons that Derrick Rose did not play. He did talk on why he's going to stick with a 9-man rotation right now, and how the players are starting to find some normalcy, and that is what he's hoping will allow them to connect. So there were victories, but I am not an either-or person. I don't say, oh, just because this person did this, I'm going to ignore all of this. Like, I can celebrate where there's things to celebrate, but I'm still going to be real about all the things that we cannot celebrate and ignore. So, still, Nick, yes, celebrate the small victories that we saw, but be truthful that they were small victories. Like, there are still big obstacles that we have to acknowledge and talk about.
Yeah, and like Chris Joseph just said right here, he's like, we won that game because Jared Allen was out, and we rebounded them by 20 rebounds. And a win's a win in the NBA, right? Not every team is going to be healthy, so them not having Jared Allen in the starting rotation down there on the block, we had to take advantage of it, and we took advantage of it. But at the same time, these little moral victories after being, and that's what it is. We get embarrassed by the Mavs, and now everybody's like, well, the pressure's on Tibbs. The pressure's on Tibbs.
Yeah, all of a sudden, like it hasn't been.
And then we win one of these games, and then all of a sudden, he could buy himself covered for the next week, right? Because within this next week, I think we got 5 games in 6 days or something like that. And if we lose 3 out of the 5, 2 out of the 5, how many people are going to be calling for Tibbs' head? It's a constant circle, right? It's we get embarrassed, right? Everybody wants Tibbs to be fired. We win a game. Everybody, some people, the pressure's off of Tibbs. We're all happy. And then we go on a week where we could get destroyed and embarrassed. Right.
And that's the thing, right? We should be at a point now where, again, guys, hey, I don't know if you heard this before, not too high, not too low, right? That's going to be my strategy this season, as long as he's our coach. Just because we pull off some wins doesn't mean that I'm going to get off we need to get rid of Tibbs train.
Yeah. Yeah, and I'm not getting off that train, which is why I currently don't have a Twitter account. I got suspended for my Fire Tibbs post. So hopefully y'all see me back one day. But
listen, Phil, but here's the good thing. That's
That
when
was
you know
Knicks
you
PR.
made it. That's when you know you made it. Knicks Morning Brew is coming up, bro. You just got censored, my dude. That's it. We made it, Hector. We made it.
We made it.
It's crazy.
Alania Musk has some explaining to do. Go ahead, Phil.
So let's talk this game, okay? Because I saw Blood of the Panther put a win is a win, but not all wins weigh the same. So that's the first thing I want to touch on is, yes, a win is a win. But if we can't be realistic about the win, like, there's going to be issues as a fan. Let's be real, okay? No one can say right now that the teams that we have beat have had their stars there. Like, we can't. We can't say we beat the Cleveland Cavaliers and it was an even peel. Like Mitch has been doing great, but let's be real. Let's be real. Mobley, as great as a player as he is not going to body Mitch. He's not an actual starting center in any way, shape, or form. So where we typically suffer is that we don't get second chance points in a game because our offensive rebounds suck. Yesterday, we had a ton of offensive rebounds because there was no one there to compete against Mitch, even to the point that Hart was getting rebounds in the time that he was in. So that's a huge thing, is that we're going to have an asterisk next to our name for all the games that we won because they're going to be like, oh, Jokic wasn't there, so-and-so wasn't there, so-and-so wasn't there. I want us to actually beat a team where everyone's there and say that we won. And if you look at it, yes, we got a victory, but let's look at numbers real quick, okay? So for the season, Donovan Mitchell is at 48.8%, okay? 48.8% field goal percentage and 42.1 field goal percentage for the season. Yesterday, okay, he was 36.4% and 18.2%. That plays a huge factor. The fact that, like, he played pretty much half of his numbers comparatively, on the shooting. And then Darius Garland, who is typically 43% field goal percentage and 40 in three-pointers, was yesterday 26 and 33. Like, they shot bad, and we capitalized on the rebounds of them shooting bad. Donovan Mitchell was not in his element at all, and that was a huge factor for us. Part of it was Grimes' defense, and I tip my hat off to that, but half of it was even when he was wide open or completely shook the defender, he played poorly. Like, very, very poorly. So we have to be honest about that. I have more points, but I don't want to rant. So, Hector, let's get some of your takes.
Oh, no, we're going to let you rant more. But, guys, you know what? We got our boy backstage. Now, listen, I thought this was a great scheduling, all right? When he reached out, I didn't look that moment on what the schedule was. But then I realized Jerry scheduled after his team-in-law's game yesterday, all right? So now we really get to take our boy Jerry Ferrara. What up, Jerry?
What's up?
Jerry?
What's up, fellas?
Good,
Listen, I realized this driving home today, Porto. I'm like, oh, man, I swear that was not intentional to come after the Cavs game. And I'm sorry I had to push a half hour. If you want to know what my old ass was doing, I finally found a pickup basketball game here in Cleveland. And it ends at like 10:45. I got to get those steps in. So thank you for hanging on till 11:30 for me. And I rocked this Knicks warm-up to the game in Cleveland after that win.
Nice. What was the stat line today? What was the stat line in the pickup game?
Listen, man, I turned 43 like a week ago. So my whole game is transformed. I probably shot around like 40% from three. I was probably took maybe 12 threes. I was probably 5 for 12. Couple of layups, some dimes, no defense.
Better than RJ Barrett. That's what I meant.
Yeah, zero. I played zero defense. Like, I tell the dude I'm guarding, like, I'm like, just go, just take it, just drive. I'm not gonna do
Just
nothing.
go. Good news, buddy. I just turned 43 last week. You can run right past me, bro.
Not catching no elbows out here at 10:30 in the morning.
You let them know before they pick you. You're like, listen, before you pick me, bro, I play no defense whatsoever. Okay.
Oh yeah, and I get mad if they put me on like the 19-year-old dude. I'm like, you're gonna make me guard the youngest dude here. My cardio is all right, but come on, man.
Is it now?
1979.
Is it like that scene from that movie that you was in with Kevin Hart and you guys had like the pickup game against the NBA? But was it kind of like that, Jerry?
Not like that. I definitely not like that. But I will say, back then, God, you know what's so funny? I think we're like coming up on, I think it's like the 10-year anniversary of that movie, or this is the 10th year. Me at 33, a lot of defense, a lot of loose. I dive for loose balls. Tibbs would have loved me in 2012.
Right now, you're like, whoa! At what cost, guys?
But typically, as the Knicks do, they would sign me at 43. They should have gotten me 10 years ago.
True.
That's the show, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for tuning in.
Yeah. That's how this depressing season. That's how we get through this depressing season, by having a bunch of jokes and laughs. But Jerry, bro, these last two games, it's literally like, Mr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde when it comes to this team. We got embarrassed by the Mavericks, especially in that second half, and then we come back, and for some reason, Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland decides they don't want to shoot and they don't want to make shots. What's your take so far from this season when it comes to this team?
Agree with everything you said there, and it's so much to break down. And I was actually having this debate on a Knicks chat that I'm in, text chat that I'm in, where like how bad the defense is. I think we're third in points per game overall given up in the East, tied for third, something like that. So 2-3 years ago, whenever we were the 4 seed, I always look back to that, which was a little bit of fool's gold, because you have the Randle of it all, who had an all NBA year. And bottom line is, for most of that season, we were giving up sort of the same threes we're giving up now. They just weren't going in for the other team. You could call it luck. I don't know. Mm-hmm. It wasn't that much defensively. And now everything, especially at MSG, everything goes in. So to see stars come in on the visiting team and not have career nights was very, very refreshing and relieving. It was the Dallas game was so troubling because we had a 15-point lead, I think, after the first quarter. It looked so good. Actually, like it was going to be a good game, and then Dallas just settled in. We have these runs where we run so hot and then we run so cold. And I think for me, it's lack of shooting. For whatever reason, it's lack of effort on defense. I don't think that – I know there's weak spots. I know people will hunt Brunson and stuff like that, and people might even hunt Randle at this point. But the team defense is not good. But so the scene effort is a sloppy game. It's 40 turnovers against the Cavs, but I'll take that all day. It's very frustrating because sometimes you feel like we're close maybe to cracking the 6th seed, definitely play-in game. Then other times it's like against Dallas, you're like, are we even a play-in team? Should we be a play-in team? So I try to really just keep a filter on my emotions, not get too high, not get too low. I don't know what to do with this team right now. I really don't know. We're too far ahead to really say let's tank and trade away pieces and just go for it, try to get as close to the 1 or 2 pick as we can. I think we're too far ahead already. Orlando, Charlotte, teams like that have run away with that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like DSJ says in the chat, Jerry, he says, Jerry, it's a lack of a franchise player, and that's exactly what it is. We have a lot of pieces that they would be, great, role players on a championship contending team. Like Jalen Brunson would be a phenomenal piece on a team that's already competing for a championship, right? Like I said a bunch of times before, Julius Randle, for instance, he would be great in a situation like in Miami, right? Where you have Pat Riley, Eric Spoelstra, and that culture that's already set there. But for some reason, when it comes to Madison Square Garden, which is supposed to be the mecca of basketball, we are a void of culture. We are a void of leadership. And a lot of people like to beat up on James Dolan, and we've talked about it earlier in the show, but James Dolan, he has to get off his high horse and actually go in on these players, whether it's the players, whether it's the front office. He has to stop hiring yes men, people that he are just used to for over the years, the relationship he has over the years. He has to get actual basketball minds in charge. The last time he had was Donnie Walsh, and he didn't choose Donnie Walsh. The NBA came in and said, "What? You know what? You lose so much. This is a horrible franchise. Let us put someone in place to fix it." Donnie Walsh came in. He did his thing for the first 2 years, and he was out the window for another yes man. What's your take on that?
So much. And again, I've thought a lot about this in the last 48 hours of how did we get here? And to get here, you really got to understand the Knicks history. And you just did a great job of talking about the Donnie Walsh portion of it. When you say blame Dolan, people blame Dolan. I think that's like the easy way out. I do agree. Phil Jackson had that job too long. Why on earth was he allowed to make a draft pick and then you removed him as the president 2 weeks later? Remove him before he makes that pick. The Knicks have done well with second-round picks, late first picks. Here's why we are in the position we are in. And don't kid. And I agree with you. Randle, Brunson, RJ, great piece of you center. If there's a star centerpiece franchise player with that supporting cast, we're the Cavs essentially, a version of the Cavs. Here's where it all fell apart, and it's not any one thing, and it's not even Tibbs' fault because Tibbs did change the culture a little bit. I do think he got the guys working hard. He does burn out on teams after 2-3 years. Everyone knows that, and I do want to see the Knicks go younger, like with the Will Hardys of the world and that kind of thing, where it is an inexperienced coach who has a plan, Udoka, for instance, even though obviously there's personal things there. But here's why we are where we are. Passed on Donovan Mitchell, took Frank Ntilikina. Passed on SGA, took Kevin Knox. Passed on Halliburton, took Obi. Obi's the only actual role player piece in that where you say, okay, different situation. Maybe Obi is something. I like Obi a lot. SGA, Donovan Mitchell, Halliburton in a 3-on-3 versus Kevin Knox, Frank Ntilikina, and Obi Toppin. Who you got? That's why we're in this position. Look, and I liked the Kevin Knox pick, but I'm not a scout. You are scouting Kentucky. You're scouting his team. SGA is on Kentucky. You're scouting his team. How are you looking at Kevin Knox and looking at SGA and being like, that guy?
Yeah.
He wants it.
The answer should be you're fired.
There's a lot of luck that goes into all this. We never get, we missed out on Zion and Ja. I still love RJ and I believe in RJ, but imagine Ja in Madison Square Garden. We didn't get the one so all these people say tank for Wemby. Like, we don't get the first overall pick. We don't even get the second overall pick historically. But missing on SGA, on Donovan Mitchell, and on Halliburton, when they were right there, wasn't our control. So that 0 for 3 is the reason why we are where we are right now.
Yeah. So I've got two things. One, Blood of the Panther. I know it hurt, right?
I just cut into his soul.
Really did.
That's why I saw your face, Hector. I was like, I'm gonna let you feel that. I'll jump in, bro, because I saw the tear. I saw it come down real slow.
It's hard to hear that when you hear the facts of that laid out in the case. You're like, oh wow, that's egregious.
It's when you did the 3-on-3. That's what got me. I said, oh, wait a minute.
Yeah, I was like, Jesus Christ.
I wouldn't put money on that 3-on-3.
And then even to go a little bit further, like you said, I love RJ Barrett also, right? I believe that RJ Barrett could turn it to something. But even with that RJ Barrett, we took RJ Barrett off of Darius Garland. When you look at both of them, Darius Garland has been the better player in the NBA since they've both been in the league.
Agree. I 100% agree. I wonder, and Garland, if you remember, was a little injured and lost that first year and a half with the Cavs, and then the Cavs have really gotten their stuff together with the coach, and so I wonder if it was Garland, how he would have developed in those turbulent times 3-4 years ago before Randle had his all. So, but yeah, I hear your point loud and clear, and the bottom line is like we always needed a lead guard forever. So look, I love RJ. We knew he wasn't a lead guard, right? Like we knew he was off ball and good defender. Still a long way to go with those two to fully declare what would have been the right pick. But yes, as of now, you'd be like, yeah, Garland would be a really nice fit on this team. But I love what Brunson's been doing. I do. I've been arguing for Brunson the whole time. Jigger, you had something.
Yeah, shout out to Blood of the Panther. Just wanted to point it out because how did we get here? Nobody, come on, solid Key Sweat reference. What's up?
Nobody's supposed to be
right. I saw it. I was like, this is the right channel to use that line. All right. Adam Flores in the chat. The Knicks have drafted great recently. I think the fan base believes the team is more ahead of schedule than they actually are, though, since we made the playoffs 2 years ago.
Agree.
I think that's one of those takes I'm always kind of leaning towards that I agree, right? It kind of sped things up to where we thought we were a little further ahead. hence the re-signing of Randle, the extension there, right? Stuff like that, without knowing what pieces really you had. Jerry, go ahead. What's your take?
Let's hear it,
Look,
Jerry.
we've drafted okay. Well, I wouldn't say it's been amazing. Like, yes, Mitchell Robinson in the second round is a good pick, although I think there's a lot of versions of Mitchell Robinson in the NBA, and he's just never healthy. He's always in foul trouble. So I just need him on the court more. I just need him there. If he's there, I do think there's a lot of value. I love IQ. Maxey was also there, I think, and available. So you could talk about, could the Knicks have actually gotten Maxey, because they were all moving up at that point. The Obi pick, I think Obi's a good player, but the fit was bizarre. Like, you're paying Randle and you draft his exact position. That should have been Halliburton. No disrespect to Obi Toppin. I love Obi Toppin. It just, the fit was a bad pick. But I think they've drafted okay. Grimes looks certainly good, but I don't know. Like, Grimes can't be like your second best player. Like, Grimes needs to be like your fourth best player, and right now he's not even that, but he's coming back off injury. He's starting to do a lot. I think he's an important piece to an established team with a star. We're not quite there yet, but the draft has been fine.
So, Jerry, we talked about this a few days ago. My whole thing is the problem, because you were talking about Quick and Maxey still being available. I agree. But at the same time, looking at the staff that we have in place, I feel like those players would probably not be at the level that they are at if we recruited them. My case for the Halliburton thing was, if we would have recruited Halliburton, he would have probably sat the way that Obi has sat. He probably would not have been played and pushed to see how great of a player he could have been under Coach Tibbs. Because it's only this season that you see Tibbs actually branching out and playing young guys. But for the last 2 seasons, that was not even the case in any way, shape, or form. So I don't see Halliburton being what Halliburton is right now if we recruited him. I think if Obi went somewhere else and got good minutes, good development, someone that was willing to say, hey, you're good here, but you need to, like, bulken up. You need to strengthen up. You need the positive, you need to think confidently and strong when you go to the basket. I think he would be a different kind of player.
So I feel I could play devil's advocate on that, because I love your points, and I think you have a good point. The flip side, I if this was first take, I'd be like, okay, I got my hot take now to come back on. Obi, a little bit of an older player, limited in like being able to kind of create for himself. I just think that, certain teams would have got more minutes, but more minutes on Sacramento 3 years ago without Halliburton and without Sabonis yet. I don't know. Is that a good fit for because that's where he probably would have went if the Knicks take Halliburton, right? Because that's who drafted Halliburton. Like, is that the best place for Obi to develop? He would have maybe got 28, 34 minutes a game, but he could have been like, look what happened with Bagley, like that play. Now it all looks good. Halliburton, though, again, it's just the fit. Yeah. What sucked for Obi was you get drafted to the Knicks. Randle has a career year, one of the best years a power forward's ever had who's not named LeBron James. He had a career year. So it was hard for him to get minutes, and Tibbs is a loyal dude, and he doesn't like playing rookies. So coming off a career year, and then Randle had that very bad year, the next year, you could have made the argument there for sure. But now it's at a point where they do have to work that out. I just think Halliburton, it would have been such a good fit, and he just does winning things. I don't know if he would have been averaging 20 and 10, to your point, Phil. Might have been a slower developing thing, but I just think fourth quarter, 2 minutes, that guy is just, you just know you have to put him in. He kind of is a Tibbs player type of player. So, but it's really interesting, because I do wonder what would have happened if Obi would have went to the Kings, for instance. I don't know, or maybe he's much further along than he already is.
Yeah. Go ahead. No, I was going to say I agree with you wholeheartedly, especially, Julius Randle had that season. He got his extension and stuff. And, I'm going to keep on saying it. I'm going to keep going back to it. That season, the Knicks, they should have treated Julius Randle the way that the Clippers treated Tobias Harris. Because when Tobias Harris had that one season where he started off well and everybody was saying he's a borderline, all-star, they traded him to Philadelphia, right? The Knicks should have done the same exact thing. When Julius Randle's stock was at the highest, especially when we had Obi Toppin on the bench, to be his replacement. Because if we went into the draft saying, you know what, we're going to draft Obi Toppin to be the replacement for Julius Randle, when his trade value was at the highest, you should have traded him away and got whatever assets you had could have got back for him. Because even at the trade deadline, the Knicks, I think, were a couple of games over 500, like 2 or 3 games over. That's before we went on that run towards the second half.
Hector, I hear you, but I'm gonna ask everyone here to really go back and really look at those stats that he put up. He wasn't an all-star. He was all NBA second team, means he was the second best power forward in the league.
Yeah.
And really go back and remember those games. The guy shot 42% from 3. He was over 50% from the field. It was historically one. Now, yes, I agree with your point. Maybe a savvier organization might have been like, okay, this is an albatross. Like, I don't think we ever get this again. But here's the other thing we got to remember. Julius Randle's 28. So when he did that 3 years ago, he was just about to turn 26, almost the same age as Obi Toppin.
Yeah.
So it's really hard. When you're so thirsty for a star and then someone comes along and you're the 4 seed with home court advantage at MSG in the first round, and this guy is having one of the greatest years of power forwards ever had, it's really hard to not pay him. Like in hindsight, yes.
Yeah, you see, but my thing, Jerry, was
really hard to sell high. He's only 25 years old at the time.
Yeah, see, but my thing was, it was such a crazy circumstance, right? We're in the heart of COVID. It's no play. Like,
all of it happened with no fans, by the way.
Right.
Yeah.
You got to look at that.
No
And kind of, like, to me, though, you would sit there and be like, okay, this can't be sustainable. Let's say you do it again when there's fans in there, when we're not like playing, like we're just hanging out in the gym all together as friends, like there was just so much.
That's a great point.
You can never replicate that, right? The numbers were crazy. The 3-point percentage
go watch
was
like
nuts.
the Julius Randle versus the Zion game. That's the one.
Right,
That was a big
ridiculous.
Burks game. I think that was a big one that they were like, just go watch some of those games. Like, he was exquisite. He was perfect. He was 7 assists. He was perfect. He was perfect that year. Perfect.
He played great that year, but my whole thing is, if you've never seen that before, just because it happens, like Jigga was saying, reproduce it. He wasn't at a point where he had to have his contract then. And one thing I always say when it comes to Randle is, look at this season right now. IQ offensively is not playing great, but his defense has been ridiculous. And we are getting calls early in the season, left and right, like about him, according to rumors. We were not getting calls left and right about Julius Randle even after that astronomical season. So the fact that other teams could look on and say, that's great, but let's wait it out and see if he's worth trying to go after. Yet we ignore what, like, isn't that a good sign when people are calling, like, for your players? We weren't getting those kind of offers even after Randle's thing, because they were looking at the longevity of his career up to that point and saying, all right, crazy year. Look at all the circumstances. He's never played anything like this. Let's wait it out. But we chose not to wait it out. And that's where my problem was. Like, if we would have waited it out even to half of that next season, we would have been like, yep, that's a bust. This didn't work out. Like, he's not the same guy. It was all a fabrication of the situation. But we took that, step, and I think that was way too premature. And now we're struggling with identity of, we still got this guy that we're bought into, even though now we're thinking younger. How does this work? And it doesn't.
Yeah. I agree. It's a good point to look at, like, those circumstances, the no fans. And then, we instantly saw what happened in the playoffs with fans in a hostile environment, with the team that could shoot and make their threes, which a lot of teams weren't making that year. And I know maybe we should get back to this year, because I'm like lit, but I also think that signing and then all the moves to free up the cap space, I really thought that their plans were like, Randle's going to be our number 2. and we're going to get Donovan Mitchell or I really think that was the overall plan. Randle's going to be a number 2, and you can be hard to find a better number 2, really, at that point, if he's willing to assume that role. So, and then when you don't land the Mitchell or the DeJounte Murray, then you're like, okay, he's our number 1, and that probably doesn't work. But this year, I think he's played well. Defensively, it's been woof for the whole team. The whole team, defensively, it's been rough. But offensively, I think he's been good, not great. I think it's better than last year. Obviously not as good as the year before. But I think he's turning in a good year. And for the money, you would say, all right, he's kind of doing what that salary kind of does. Still not really the number 1, though.
Yeah, I never take away from Randle as a player.
Right.
Like, I've said that on this show time and time again. The dude can ball. The problem is his work ethic, the way he is with his team chemistry. Like, you don't know what you're getting from him game in and game out, right? One minute you're getting this guy that looks like he's having a great time, and then you get the Randle that comes in and doesn't give a crap, right? So it's just for what our team needs. That's my biggest issue with Randle. I'll never question his game, but I don't think he elevates the rest of our team, and I think he holds us back a bit. So here's the thing I wanted to touch on, and then Hector, I know you had other topics too while we had Jerry, but after this weekend, I wanted, after the loss, I love jumping in the Twitter spaces. After a win, I don't jump into Twitter spaces as much because I feel like you get the fluff when it's a win, right? But when you
Echo
get the
chamber.
loss, exactly.
Yeah.
When you get the loss, though, you get that Knicks fan base that just bugs the hell out. But then you get ones that are just like, oh, you know what? You make sense. Here's the 4 groups, Jerry. All right. And Phil and Hector, I'm going to throw it to you guys too. The 4 groups, and you guys tell me if I'm missing anything. There's the Fire Tibbs group. There's the Fire Rose group. There's the Blow It Up, Trade Everyone Tank group, right? And then there's the Rebuild, Start Fresh, which I guess would still fall under the Blow It Up.
I think you're missing the there's still hope we could be a 6 seed.
Yeah. You got the rant.
Okay, well, that one needs to be
also the Randle Hive out there.
Yeah, that's a group.
Okay.
That's a group.
So we'll put that group in its own. It's called the Delirious group. Okay. So my question, guys, is what's the total number of games where we all, as a fan base, come together collectively to start looking at it and saying, hey, maybe we should come together, not complain about each individual, and just pick one thing that we all come together and say, hello, Leon, Paige and Mr. Rose, somebody change something. Hello, Fire Tips. What is the one that we all should collectively be together on? And at what point do we all come together and do it? I'll start with you, Jerry. Which one are you leaning on as the main one as a fan base we should really come together?
It's weird because I guess it's almost how I am in my life. I'm like a tweener. I'm like in between groups. Like I'm not in the Fire Tibbs group, but I am in we should really start. We need to identify who the next young assistant, or can you lure Kenny Atkinson away from Golden State? Although I don't know why he'd want to leave. It's not that I don't think Tibbs is good, but I think he's taken us almost as far as we could really go. And we need to get a young guy in there, but I would say I'm more in don't blow it up, but I do think a move needs to be made. And I really want to see a move made for shooting. Fournier, for whatever reason, it sucks that he just does everything else so poorly and sits on the bench, because that is the kind of guy we need, like a playmaking shooter. We need a pure knockdown shooter to space the floor, because when we go cold, it's abysmal, and that shrinks the floor. Randle can't do nothing. It's harder for Brunson. RJ is going to go 1-on-3. So I think whether it's Toppin or Quickly or Grimes, I don't think trade all of them, but I think one of our young core of role players, we gotta try to flip into something else, because I don't think they could all fully work together.
Agree.
Right.
So I'm in between. I'm not quite blow it up, but I'm maybe take out a column and rebuild a column.
See, and that's the thing, right? You've got the 4 categories. I think a lot of us are in that
4 pillars.
I'll take a little bit of this, a little bit of that. I just don't want to be in that other group that we dedicated to itself. I cannot go to the imagination group, Oblivious Chamber. I can't do it.
I try.
Yeah.
I've floated there. I've hung out with that group. They're cool. They're good people. I've hung out with that group.
Yeah, it's called Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Like, you know what? We got an afternoon game. This is going to be good. And then 12:39 kicked in.
I've been in person to 2 Knicks Pistons games. I've been in that group. We beat the Pistons all the time. It's a great group to be in.
Yeah. That's when I love to have the Knicks conversations after we blow out the Pistons, because it makes us feel better about ourselves, right?
That's right.
But Uncle Foxy brought it up in the chat when he's like, the GM is responsible for roster constructions. Fire Scott Perry. When I read that, I forgot that Scott Perry was a part of this front office, because everybody is so focused on Leon Rose and like Worldwide West. Scott Perry is a part of this front office, but no. But when it comes to Leon Rose, I just go out there and do not be afraid to admit that moves that you made in the past were mistakes, right? Like you brought up with drafting Obi Toppin. You may love Obi Toppin, but the Tyrese Halliburton pick would have made a lot more sense, especially when our starting point guard the season prior was Alfred Payton, right? We needed a point guard. We had a point guard waiting for us. Tyrese Halliburton would have been the perfect pick. So when it comes to Leon Rose, do not be afraid to admit when you was wrong. I understand this is your first president job or president of operations. This is your first job, the first role that you have as that job. So do not be scared to admit I was wrong here. Let's pivot in this direction. And when it comes to James Dolan, us fans, we're going to be loyal to this team no matter what. We've been losing for 20 years. What's another 5 or 2, a couple of years? But just let us know what the direction is of this team and stick with that direction. If you're going to decide, you know what, we need to tear things down and rebuild, cool. Just let us know so we could be on board with you instead of just sugarcoating and just trying to put the blinders on. It's like, oh, we got the 4th seed. Let's go out there at Kemba Walker. Let's see what happens. No, that's not going to win it.
Yeah. For me, Jigga was like, can we all agree on one thing? No, we're New Yorkers. It's not going to happen. Like, there's no freaking, like, you ask on the same road, like, if we can agree on a pizza place, people are like, nah, you go there, I go here, we'll meet you in the middle. Like, that, it's just how it is. So in the chat room, I see a lot of arguing. Like, let's pipe down with that. Like, let's have different views and it still be okay. Someone was like, what's going on with all the fight? And I'm like, chill, y'all, it's all good. The 4 of us are going to have different opinions and it's great. I love it. Anyway, so when it comes to the team, my whole thing is, like y'all know, I'm banned from Twitter for using #FireTibbs. That's just where I'm at now. Yeah.
Why are you banned for saying Fire Tibbs?
Yeah,
I posted after the Dallas game. I put all I can say right now is #FireTibbs. Woke up, suspended account, and no replies yet. So
you didn't say awesome. Set Tibbs on fire. You said Fire Tibbs.
I know, it's insane. It's insane. I love it. But anyway, so here's my thing about Tibbs is I see some changes happening, but I think it's too little, too late. I think it's too little, too late. I unfortunately, like, if I could have my way, we would bring in a young coach with a current kind of mindset, and I wouldn't mind having Tibbs as a defensive coach, but I don't think his pride would ever allow that to happen. So when he's done, he's done. Like, this will be the last time I think he coaches in the NBA. But I think even if we make great changes for a new young star, whether it winds up being that we get a good trade, which I think we are working towards that with Quick, even though I like Quick. I think he's going to see a lot more minutes because I think him and Derrick Rose are probably going to get packaged somewhere or a 3-team kind of trade. But I see Quick going. My whole thing that scares me is that if we get a good young star or we recruit well in the draft, we are going to go back into the recycling of how Coach Tibbs coaches, where he finds his favorites, because there are his favorites. Some of the rotations make sense, and then some of them are just based off favoritism. And that's the problem I have, is that the favoritism is going to continue and it's going to shoot us in the foot.
I think some of them are just, you're right, are just weird. Like that Dallas game, Randle had an excellent first quarter, always plays good against Dallas.
Yep.
Played the whole first quarter, and then he's out till like 4:45 to go in the second quarter when Dallas starts making their run. It's like, I get it. Like, you got to put and like all of a sudden I'm like, Tibbs, now you're starting to watch minutes or something. Like now you're pacing out the minutes. Like,
Like
Bring him back in with
yesterday-
7 minutes to go. He's in really good shape. Like
yeah,
insane
RJ wasn't
shape.
playing great. He shoots a 3, finally like all net. Next time out,
Pull him.
he's out. Like the rotations just don't make sense.
Yeah.
The favoritism doesn't make sense. Like the way you're teaching is a little bit outdated
Now,
and
do
weird.
you-
And I feel like that hurts.
There was a take, Jerry, in one of the Twitter spaces the other day where a guy said, do you think Tibbs is just at the point now where it's not a matter of he's trying new rotations. It's I'm putting these guys in because he fears for his job safety right now. So in his mind, these are his guys, so he's going with them. I don't agree with that take. I think he's always done.
I think at this point he's just trying to figure what gets me with Tibbs, because I do think he's a good coach. I respect what he's done here, even though we're in some hard times right now. You know, he really did help change. I think we're no longer like a joke. And I think that has a lot to do with him. You know, we did get some relevancy. Some of the offensive calls, and I know that's not necessarily his area. He's not calling all the offense, and there's offensive coordinators almost, but the offense really, like, we don't really run anything. You know, It's all dependent on defense and stops and transition, which is great. But when you're not getting stops and you're taking the ball out of the hoop and inbounding all the time, you know, those sets coming out, it's all one-on-one stuff still. Brunson's going one-on-one a lot, and he's really effective at it. Randle, we know, is going one-on-one. RJ's going, like, we don't rarely run like high pick and roll, which every team run. Like, I just would love to see a coach in there, if it is going to be a different coach, who, yes, defense is of course important, but like let's run some shit. Let's run some plays for the guys that we have, you know?
Yeah. So Jerry, before you go, I know you went to not this one, the Cleveland game before. You are, technically that's your team-in-law. So two questions before you go. All right. One, did you really think we'd have a chance to beat them last night?
I did think we had a chance. I was not optimistic. I thought for sure Mitchell was going to go for 40, just for the way that everyone's been playing at the Garden recently. Right. And I'm like, knowing it's going to mean something to him. I did not expect the Cavs to not be able to shoot. Like, I went to the game in Cleveland. I think Mitchell was 8 for 12 from 3. Kevin Love was 8 for 12 from 3. Everyone, it was just like a bomb squad. But no, I did give the Knicks a little bit of a chance yesterday, because they really have bounced back from bad losses. You know, fortunately, I think a lot of them have been schedule wins. You know, they really haven't had to play 3 great teams in a row before. This was a good test. I thought it was a good win, and the Cavs stunk it up last night. But a small chance. I thought Mitchell was going to go off, though, and he had a terrible game.
Yeah, because the last game he did. I remember you texting me and being like, yeah, he's cooking. I was like, oh,
I thought of you, because one of my buddies for my birthday, we love that homage company, right, with the NBA Jam shirts and all that. So there you go. So we're always like, that's kind of like, birthdays. He got me like the Mitchell Garland. Yeah, he got me that one, except he got me the Mitchell Garland one, which is like that Cavs maroon. He's like, you gonna rock this? I'm like, fuck no, that's too. Like, student law doesn't mean you start rocking the colors.
Yeah, you gotta still hide it a little.
Quietly root and watch on League Pass and stuff like that, but it doesn't mean I'm gonna be rocking the gear. I don't rock gear.
Yeah, I was like, yo, Jerry, regardless, will probably still show up with a smile on Monday, whether it's the Knicks or the Cavs who win. He knows both of them really well.
No, because it really hurt me to be at that Cavs-Knicks game, because also where I was sitting. I was sitting right behind the Cavs bench, first row. I've never sat behind a bench. I've sat like next to a bench. I've sat all over, but I've never sat like right behind. Right. So I really had to look at Mitchell. First of all, he's built like Ray Lewis, built like a linebacker, right? These crazy long arms, but like every time out, he's in the huddle going up to like Isaac Okoro, going, just keep shooting, man. We believe in you. And he's talking to Kevin. Like, he showed me leadership. I really was seeing inside the huddle. And I'm like, oh, he's it. And this was without Garland. He had complete control of the offense without Garland. So you have 2 point guard. You have 2 lead guard. I don't even want to say point guard. So it really hurt. I drove home from that game thinking, holy fuck, did we screw up. Like, why trade out of the 11th pick and get these mediocre draft picks and all this assortment of draft picks to not push all in? So if I'm the Knicks, I'm praying the Thunder decide to tank. I'm offering that they can't trade SGA. It'd be so stupid if they did. But I would offer everything for SGA right now. He's like the last player that maybe there's a shot, and I don't even think there's a shot.
Right.
But I would offer 5 firsts, RJ, whatever you want.
I can't argue with that. I can't at all.
I can't.
You gotta push in at some point. We have all these like mid first round picks that are heavily protected.
Yeah, I mean, someone said it. Chris Joseph, Brunson's the only guy in the Knicks right now that you have to keep. Everyone else could go.
Yeah,
I don't know with that.
Can't argue.
Don't disagree with that one.
Jerry, bro, thank you so much for making time hanging out with us. Everybody in the chat, obviously, you know Jerry, but I don't know if you guys know. Check out the stuff he's doing with BetMGM. I mean, that podcast is dope with Decker. Jerry, man, always so great when you make time to hang out with us, dude. Especially after a Knicks win, made it even easier of an episode.
I know it seems like I picked, but also we talk all the time, Jake. Like I will be back more. I'm working on some stuff now that's kind of taking up the time and stuff like that. But I do think once we come past trade deadline, if we're still hanging around and stuff, I'm available and will be more available to jump on with you guys because I love talking to you guys.
Appreciate that. Likewise.
All right, go Knicks. Come on.
Buddy.
We're all right.
Yes.
It's gonna be all right.
Yes, we good, baby.
It's
like a support
Later,
group.
Jerry.
It's gonna be okay. See you guys later.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. The support team.
It's the one time where Jerry's acting didn't come through. Okay, all right. We're like, we're fine, guys. We're fine.
Yeah. Nah, but it's always great to talk with Jerry, man. Great guy. Great conversation like always. And also too, Jerry. Shout out to Jerry for proving Joakim Noah wrong, right? When he talked about Cleveland and who goes out to Cleveland, because Jerry has made Cleveland a second home, and he has shown that there's stuff to do out there in Cleveland.
I love it. Awesome.
Guys,
boys.
Real quick, I know we got more topics we'll jump into real quick, but this Wednesday, we got our boy Tom Sanford coming on the show, the artist himself. I mean, his work is amazing. Diehard Knicks fan. We're going to chop it up this Wednesday, talking all things Knicks. You know how we do. Let's get back into it, fellas. Can we jump in and talk a little bit with the chat as well? The Cam Reddish situation. Like, I mean, at this point, we got to be thinking trades, right?
Yeah.
I mean, we saw none of him last night. We saw no D Rose. What we thinking, Hector?
It seems like a trade's going to happen sooner rather than later. One thing that I talked about that was a highlight for me in yesterday's win was, Deuce McBride getting 16 minutes. And even against the Mavericks, Deuce McBride got some solid minutes. He was the first guard off the bench. So seeing Deuce McBride getting some minutes and getting some burn, it's a good sign, but at the same time, it's a bad sign because that means no D Rose and for some reason, no Cam Reddish. So the rumors may be true that the Knicks are shopping on both of them. And when you have two players that are injury prone, you're not going to play them because you don't want them to get injured.
It's true. Phil.
Yeah. This is where it's hard for me because, we've talked about coach's motto of you earn your spot on the team, and I do believe Cam earned it in those games that he was playing before the little groin stretch, and so I have a really hard time because I do feel like, yes, he played like trash in the few minutes he played on the Mavericks game, whatever. And I understand Thibodeau's mindset of, okay, right now there's too many players, a 9-man rotation seems like it works. I'm going to keep that. But I feel like players who have deserved it, such as Cam Reddish and Sims, are reaping the fact that that statement is not true. So I do feel like, in my opinion, as much as I like Reddish, and I feel like Reddish would be a good fit for our team, if he's not going to get the minutes he deserves, I think that we need to trade him to a team where he can flourish. Because when a Knick leaves, I do want to see them successful. If it wasn't that they were just bumming for us, but it was that they were misused by us. So I could see him going somewhere like the Lakers, who have showed interest before. I could see him going there and either us getting a bench player or, some picks or whatever. As far as Rose, it's been talked about for a while that, we're looking into a trade. And according to, coach, the choice to sit to Rose yesterday was because it was a doubleheader. So our next game will show if that's true. If we see him and then McBride back to the bench, then that was true. If not, then maybe the trade is sooner than later. But we're coming up, that time frame is coming up, So we'll see very, very soon if any of this has any actual like full on thought out plan, or are we being the Knicks and just like shooting guns last minute and hoping, that we hit a target at some point. So I do think that both of them will end up being traded. I think Rose by the deadline. And if Reddish not by the deadline, that we will not be re-signing with him with free agency. And I think if I'm Reddish, I would not sign with the Knicks. I think that we have mishandled him enough where he's going to want to go somewhere else anyway. Mm-hmm. And that's one thing that's really growing on my nerves is that we are messing with people's future money. A lot of these guys are in very pivotal years for their contracts. We've talked about it in some spaces with some people. This is their money years. And I feel like we are mishandling those, those players. So I think they walk.
So Phil, timestamp right now. All right. Because you are a video guy. You clip a lot of our clips and everything for Knicks Morning Brew. Timestamp for you, 1:08. All right, this is when we started this topic and everybody taking their takes. Let me go in real quick. Thanks, front office. Because I remember when we traded and we got Cam, and you fed all of us that, this could be a piece that we can play with and would be awesome to see. And we all kind of were like, oh, crap, Cam Reddish? With RJ? Oh, okay. We got excited. Every time I've seen Cam play a little bit this season, I got excited. Thanks for once again blowing another player's opportunity. Thanks for once again not giving us the chance to see somebody that could probably do really well, go somewhere else and become a star somewhere else. Thanks for making me sit here and realize that I pay for an NBA pass to watch a team that can't be managed the right way.
Yep.
Right. Sorry. I'm sorry.
Foxy.
Oh no, that was a good monologue, bro. Keep going.
It's just so frustrating, man. Like
I don't agree, Foxy. Foxy, I love you, buddy. But Randle doesn't rebound.
I love you, buddy.
I love you, buddy.
But when it comes to effort, there were few playing with that kind of effort, even in our lowest points of the season. So yeah, he's got things to grow. But when you're getting like 10 minutes a game for the whole season, come on.
See, but look, Chris Joseph, if the Knicks get a young coach by the end of the year or off season, that guys can see the potential, and I think he stays. RJ and him are boys, but the org needs to show players the potential. See, but that's the thing. We're believing that they're doing things that make sense, Chris. In a perfect world, that would make sense. But in this world, Tibbs is still here for the rest of the season, and they end up taking Cam, and he's gone already.
DSJ.
You know what? You're right, DSJ. You're right. We keep pressing the button.
We keep pressing it at the same time.
No more apologies. All right. It was heartfelt. It's pissed. It's just, guys, I mean, we are literally watching our fan base go against each other. We're watching some of our favorite Twitter spaces go at each other. We're watching everybody that usually is collective and want to come together to talk about our team just at a loss of words because there's so many things that we can't agree on because of this team. So you're right, DSJ. I will not apologize. That's it.
And like DSJ always says, we deserve better.
Man, listen, this show is creating so many hashtags. We got hashtag free Sims, hashtag we deserve better, hashtag free Phil.
That's the funniest one of them all. Hashtag free
I
Phil.
can't say it
It's literally after he put the fire Tibbs, his Twitter account got nuked and
he got banned.
Jesus Christ.
They're like, oh, this guy's takes are powerful, flagged. That's
Elon Musk. Yeah. Elon Musk was straight up like Thanos on me as soon as I did that.
That's literally what it was. But guys, let's preview the Hawks game before we get out of here because the Hawks are the next opponent this Wednesday coming up. Trae Young has some back and forth with the head coach right now because he was coming back off an injury. He didn't want to come off the bench, and he decided not to play a game because that's the one thing that's weird to me, right? When your head coach is gonna say, "Oh, we're gonna bring you off the bench," and you decide, "No, I have a better one. I'm just not gonna play the game." Period. To me, that makes no sense. Like that's just pure idiocracy. But so I'll throw it over to you. What's your preview for this game coming up? I guess it's a collective.
I mean, it's like I was telling you guys in our group text. This is the only team for me, like that I support, that I can't even get a feel on what's a good bet, a bad bet. Do I take the over? Do I take the under? Like I cannot mess with the Knicks at all from game to game. You don't know what you're going to see, what you're going to get. So, hey, I'm sure I can say we're going to see a game where we're playing the Hawks. There's going to be players from both teams that play basketball. They're called athletes. They're going to go up and down the court, and there's going to be some stuff that happens. And I'm going to be pissed off 90% of the game. I'm going to question everything that's going on with our rotation and our team. And I'm going to show up here on Wednesday and be excited that we're talking to Tom Sanford and complaining about Tibbs and Leon Rose.
Solid.
There we go.
Solid prediction. Phil?
Thank you.
Yeah, so, my whole thing is, regardless of what's happening in their organization, like, I don't care, but the last time we played them, Trae Young didn't play well anyway.
Yeah.
Yet DeJounte Murray toyed with us like a freaking kitty with a cat ball, just swatting us around, making us just feel like little toys throughout the whole game. And so my whole thing is, with them two, they frustrate the crap out of me. Them two together have been one of the most annoying dynamic duos to see us, to play in the league. They remind me of, which is funny because when you're younger and you watch the Mighty Ducks and you see the the Smash Brothers, and you see that they're like checking people and then they're like celebrating and you're like, oh yeah,
Smash Bros.
But when you see it in real life with these two and their arrogance and how they pretty much take every effort to be the two most obnoxious people in the NBA. Yeah, it was in the Garden. But I think if we let either one of them go off, we're taking the L. Like we are. Like we can't be like, oh, we're stopping Trae Young. We feel good about ourselves. And then let Murray just toy with us again. We can't be like, oh, he went off on us, so we got to stop Murray. And then we let Trae go off on us. Like, if we don't guard both of them, which is going to be hard because they both can shoot from the three, then we're going to have an issue. So,
I feel like we're watching like a game of murder mystery or something, right? Like that's how I feel going into every game. Is I'm not even like going into it to worry about if it's going to be a win or loss. Like I'm going in to see, can I figure out more pieces of the puzzle? Who's playing? Who's not playing? Are we trading that person? Oh, he didn't play at all. Like, you know what I mean? Like that's where I'm at. And then I'm back to the same routine where I'm just like, yo, are we going to see Sims?
I'm not gonna lie. I do like a good murder mystery. I ain't gonna lie.
Right?
I ain't gonna lie.
We gotta
like
go into it differently, right? We need to have a pen and pad and be like, ooh, I figured out the jigsaw puzzle. If you move this piece over here and this piece over there, we have no organization. I'm done talking about this.
Yeah, one thing I want to see going forward is RJ Barrett. Stop turning the ball over. I'm sick of this. I'm sick of whenever we're having conversations about Julius Randle, RJ Barrett's name gets brought up right afterwards because we weren't talking about RJ Barrett. We was talking about Julius Randle. But since I'm here, I'm on my TED Talk. Let me finish speaking. RJ Barrett has to step it up, right? Shot selection has to be better. Him handling the ball has to be better. The turnover rate is atrocious. And when it comes to RJ Barrett, the way that his contract is set up, we won't be able to even trade him until next season. Until July 1st, we can't even trade this man. So, anybody that has the dream of trading RJ Barrett, you're going to have to wait till at least the offseason before we even entertain those conversations because of how he signed this contract. Shout out to Uncle Foxy for pointing that out to me. But yeah, I just want RJ Barrett to be better. And so far, it's been horrible. Comparing what he's done this season to where he was at last year around the same time, he is having a better season right now by December 5th than what he was having last year around the same time. But it's that's just a fake defense, just to cover up his flaws, right? It's easy for us to point to last year and say that his stats are better. We could agree that his stats are still horrible this year.
Yeah. But here's the thing is there was a lot that we needed to see different from RJ, especially in the first half last game. Second half, he did rise. I think the biggest problem, and you guys know that I have a real big issue with RJ this year because he's one of my favorites on the team. But I think as long as we play ISO ball, RJ Barrett will not be a great player. Because it's not a matter of he's not the kind of player that's going to be able to play ISO ball all throughout the game. Every once in a while, fine. But teams know that the only thing that we do is play ISO ball. So when Randle has the ball, they're going to guard Randle hard. When Brunson has the ball, they're going to guard Brunson hard. When Barrett has the ball, you saw every single one of his turnovers was because 3 players would come up to him from the Cavs because they knew as soon as he started ISO ball that he was not going to pass. They knew that. So 3 of them would walk up, 1 of them would grab the ball. Same thing with Randle. Same thing with Brunson. Until we actually get something called plays where players are actually moving and facilitating the ball, RJ will always run the ball into the great wall of whatever team that is. The great wall of Mavs, the great wall of Cavs, the great wall of Bulls. It doesn't matter. He will run into 3 defenders because ISO ball does not work for our team because we are not skilled ISO ball players. Bottom line, none of them are stars to the point where they should be playing ISO ball.
Yep. And, normally, when it comes to us getting blown out by the other team, normally it's not the star players from the other team. So I got a prediction right now. Put aside DeJounte Murray, put aside Trae Young if he plays, put aside even Clint Capella. AJ Griffin and Jalen Johnson are going to go off against the Knicks, and they're going to have 20 points apiece. That's my prediction for Wednesday game. Take that to the bank.
Yeah. I mean, again, my biggest prediction of the night is I'm going to show up here on Wednesday with a lot more questions and answers once again.
Yes.
And I told you guys, it's hard for me to sit there and evaluate our players when we don't have the system, when we don't have the things being ran the right way, when I'm not seeing a rotation of people that I want to see playing together. It's hard. So it sucks because all I can sit there right now and say is our entire team. If I just got to look at it as an entire team as of right now, it's doo-doo. It's doo-doo. Because we don't have a game plan. We don't have things going the right way. But I'm excited, man. I've got nothing else for you guys on this one.
Nah, neither do I. All I can say is, Aaron Judge, please come back home because if I have to go through a Knicks season when you leave during the off season, please come back home to the Yankees. That's all I care about.
Is this legit? Chris the Flash, that just happened?
Oh man, there was reports that was going to happen.
While you're looking that up, everybody in the chat, I appreciate all you guys. Please continue to spread the word. Let everybody know about the show. Tap in here to KOD Media. Hit that like button. Subscribe. Go hit those likes right now. Let's get those things up. The algorithms care about it, all right? Me personally, I don't care. You don't want to give me a thumbs up? That's fine. You hung out here for an hour and a half anyways, all right? So, but yeah, please hit the like, It says we're supposed to ask you for that. Follow Knicks Morning Brew. We got our boy Tom Stanford on the show this Wednesday. Tomorrow morning, tap in Yankees Morning Brew. Our boy Hector. He got Pete Seminole coming on from NYY News.
Oh, yeah.
Yankees. We're going to get ready to talk about a little bit of Get Yanked that kicks off this Friday. Man, appreciate everybody. Did you find anything? Pending physicals?
According to Jeff Passan, blue check mark from Twitter, but what does that mean nowadays? But according to Jeff Passan, Justin Verlander and the New York Mets are in agreement on a contract.
Go get me Rodon.
Yeah.
Go get it for me. Yeah, all right. On that note, because now we'll end up talking Yankees for another 2 hours. On that note, I tell y'all to go follow Phil, but instead, everybody tweet out #FreePhil. Everybody in the chat, we love y'all. Appreciate everybody hanging out. We'll see y'all again on Wednesday.
Peace. Free Phil.